wound.
Clearly that wasn't the case. The referee saw you play on. It's part and parcel of the game.
And especially because Leeds had the ball in their own half. There was enough time for Villa to cope.
Yeah, absolutely. It's not even the point. It's part and parcel of the game. This is the game. This is the professional game. You lose play. Even players go down with cramp. Stopping the game with players in cramp.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're not fit enough to play the game for 90 minutes at a certain level, tough. That's a disadvantage. You should take advantage of that. If you're a better conditioned team, fitter, quicker, and you can maintain those physical levels over 90 minutes, that's an advantage.
Kenny, I feel like
you should take advantage of that.
I feel like Pontus Jansson needed you in his corner at the weekend.
Well, I don't think I've ever been. No, most players wouldn't have been in that decision. No. But hand on my heart, it's an easy thing to say, Rich. But there's no way I could have stood on that as a lead centre half and allowed those Villa players to walk, just literally kind of
dance through. Go ahead. Yeah.
They call it an escort line in rugby.
Couldn't Spanish bullfighters though? I couldn't have done it.
Spanish bullfighters,
and I wouldn't be alone. That was unheard. That's unprecedented.
Yeah.
Was there a game of Highbury years ago? Arsenal again. Was that the first example of it?
I think a replay was either offered or actually came to pass.
Replay happened.
Yeah.
But I never even remember being in discussion like week to week. I never even remember that kind of situation cropping up. People that kicked the ball out. Yeah, if a player was in serious danger, head injury, concussion, even not being funny, right? Even if it's a serious injury, cruciate injury, you go down, player screaming, he's done his cruciate injury, everybody knows it. Do you know what? An extra 20 seconds isn't going to make any difference. Well, you're still going to be screaming in 20 seconds' time when the ball's kicked out. It doesn't matter.
You would have been part of that first generation of players where this first became really a thing. Like, obviously, it cropped its head up, as you mentioned, a hybrid between Sheffield United and Arsenal. Like, was there any discussion as regards what the call is?
I remember being in towards my last couple of years, the captains used to go into the referees room for a little chat. Two captains in the manor. I never liked what are we going in there for? Bloody hell, so busy. But I do remember...
Can I just say as a point, though, you're pretty unenthusiastic about most things initially, but then you get into it. So I'd say you were the last one to leave the referees room.
No.
And just one more thing. One more thing.
But on this topic, what I do remember saying on a couple of occasions, walking in and saying, look, I'm telling you now, we will not be kicking the ball out to the opposition, to the captain and the manager. We will not be kicking the ball out under any... I'm telling you now, we will not kick the ball out unless there's a serious injury to a player, and that's why the referee's here to make that judgment. But I'm telling you now, we won't be kicking the ball out. And don't kick the ball out for us, because we won't be kicking it back to you.
Right.
Was that you putting your foot down, or was that like...
knows. Yeah, black and white.
Okay.
And that was me personally.
I presume most captains you said that to said, OK, fair enough. No problem.
Yeah, why wouldn't you? That's fair. That's as fair as you're going to get.
Yeah.
It actually is problematic.
Being honest about it.
Because players take advantage, Joe. Players take advantage.
The problem is when it gets a bit muddled and there's almost an expectation, you have to kick it out and it's an unwritten rule. That's just crazy. But that's sort of what happened at the weekend.
Yeah, and players will go down because opposition players are under pressure to give the ball, to kick the ball out. And what do? They kick the ball 6 yards back down the pitch. Yeah. So you're actually disadvantaged. From being in a promising attacking position, you're actually disadvantaging yourself by kicking the ball out of play. You're having to start again. And players know this. Yeah. And they understand that and they play on it.
I just feel Jansson could have done so much better for the goal, Kenny. I mean, not to overanalyse it. And he had the element of surprise. I mean, he could have stood there. No, go on.
And then cleaned them out.
Boom!
Yeah.
And imagine he took the ball and started dribbling with it. His players would have to join in with him.
It could have been. I mean, if he'd have kicked that ball out, the whole thing would have... And if he'd have stuck with it then, had kicked it out for the throw-in, the throw-in had been...
So given what had gone before, in the 3-4 minutes that had gone before, there would have been an actual war on the pitch. And there would have been more players sent off.
But I've no sympathy for those Aston Villa players. Total overreaction. Total overreaction. It's not nonsensical what they were doing.
Yeah, I was surprised how heated it got. I do wonder would Bielsa and Leeds have given the goal in a bigger game? Like, there was nothing ultimately on the line there.
They're going to finish third or fourth anyway.
It wasn't, because Sheffield United had already won. So you just wondered.
There was a little bit Bielsa off the back. He had a huge amount of bad publicity there off the back of the old Spygate, and you just sense as if behind it he just felt maybe this was an opportunity, maybe just to even the scales a little bit. Or he didn't want any more adverse kind of publicity, which I'm disappointed with.
John Terry in his face after they'd given the goal.
John Terry,
as if to say, yeah, that's fair. That's fair.
John Terry of all people.
I know.
Looking for fairness. John Terry.
But isn't that the fairest thing of all? Just play on. Let the referee make that decision.
Yeah.
And just play the game.
Play the
game.
Play the whistle.
It takes away the room for error. No, it does. But I thought you'd have a soft spot for Pontus Jansson somehow. Pontus and Virgil, your two defenders of the week.
Yeah.
There's a text in. Kenny should have his own phone-in show. Make it happen. Joe Duffy with an edge, says Eddie. I think you would do a cracking lifeline.
A sporting live
What does
line.
that mean?
Do you know the way Joe sits there, not this one, Joe Duffy, and he's like, yeah. Tell us all about it there.
Have you not heard Liveline?
No.
And what? Okay.
Liveline.
Well, you've been away for 20 odd years. But
It's
basically,
true. It's true.
people ring in to Joe Duffy,
Right.
discuss the problems of their little world or the world
not in a
in
sport
general.
context, just generally speaking.
But this is what the texts are saying, that we could turn this into a sporting thing, whereby it's like Ring Kenny.
This is, but Liveline, we shouldn't overdo this because I'm going to pick them up. We're literally going to be
don't
hot
need us.
outside.
Yeah.
Run its course very quickly though. If you're restricted purely sport and parameters, I can see kind of, if you open it up, there's
on
a
the
huge
face
amount.
of it, you would think Liveline would have run its course, but it's a behemoth
Yeah.
in
Right.
the radio landscape. It's unbelievably popular, non-stop calls, and like it will range from in relative
the
terms,
mundanes.
the small, like, Joe, I booked a holiday and we had to cancel it, and now they won't give us a refund, and like that.
Yeah.
If you're a company and you're on Liveline, I mean, it's panic stations.
Right,
The
gotcha,
worst
like-
thing you ever heard in retail was, I'm ringing Joe Duffy about this.
Yeah. So
Oh, is that right?
it goes from that right up to honestly the
Okay.
most horrific,
Sure.
unbelievable issues.
Yeah,
political
huge
issues.
disparity
stuff.
in,
Yeah.
Oh, quite serious issues. then.
Really serious.
Oh, right, yeah.
So
yeah.
all of it were the full spectrum, and somebody reckons here that if Joe
I
Duffy
don't
was
think
off
that's
sick,
no.
I think you'd be good.
comparison there. No, I don't think that can
I
stand.
could
up.
see it working.
Because you're able to hold court on pretty much everything, Kenny.
That's the thing.
And that's
No, this is
the
football.
key point.
Not at all. I'm not claiming to be this is football
You've
talk,
got strong
isn't it?
opinions on everything, don't you?
Do I?
There's a central sporting moral column to everything, of which you're tapped into, and I believe that you could basically let that force.
Bloody hell!
on
Is
the
that it?
show.
Is that that wasn't a borderline compliment? Rich was trying to pay me there.
Close as you'll get.
How long
from
have I been working with
Best
him?
I'll do.
Is that the first?
It's the best I'll do. Considering you nearly ruined Avengers Endgame, and don't ruin it on the listeners.
How long is that?
Don't.
Film? Seriously, how
I
long
don't
is that
know.
film?
I'm going to see it on
Get
Saturday
ready.
with the
I'm
eldest
telling you
lad.
now. Get ready.
Surely Kenny must have been the victim of some weird pronunciations during his time at Birmingham with their hard G.
All right, first of all, it's pronunciations.
Kenny Cunningham, says Sid.
Did anyone ever go with the Cunningham?
Cunningham. Oh, well, the Brummies would have, yeah.
Cunningham?
Kenny Cunningham.
Kenny Cunningham?
You right. Get up there, Kenny.
You gone Black Country there. You gone Black Country there. The accent, I think.
Would you be good at it? I'd say
Lads,
you'd be
it
good at
was.
it.
Yeah, okay.
It was.
Yeah.
I'm only kidding, I don't know. You bastard. But there are subtle differences that I wouldn't be aware of.
Matt Doherty playing for Wolves, of course, lads. Yeah, that's a whole different kettle of fish. Jigginstown pronunciation, please. Mick and Dundalk. I go with Jigginstown.
Yeah, I got Jigginstown.
Gigginstown was the initial instinct, but it is Jigginstown. Michael O'Leary's stable. Are you a racing fan?
No, I wouldn't be.
Okay. Don't worry about it.
You're going to have to learn if you're going to have Kenny's
I'm
phone
on his
in.
bloody airline. His airline's flying into Southend now. I've had to suck that one up.
Steady.
Somebody says, play back the tape. Kenny can't pronounce the word pronunciation properly. Says Barry and Portmarnock.
Neither can you.
Case.
It's pronunciation.
Oh, yeah, I'm saying pronounce. Why am I saying pronounce?
You're saying pronunciation.
I said the same. Did I say pronunciation as well?
It's not pronunciation.
Start
Pronunciation.
getting paranoid.
Pronunciation.
Start getting paranoid. It's
So
bad
it's-
conversation.
It's
This.
pronounce.
To pronounce.
I'm losing confidence.
pronunciation.
My confidence is draining out of me.
See, that's why English is very difficult for people.
That's why people, like foreign students, come here rather than going to England, because they teach English wrong in England. Because they pronounce stuff weird.
What, wronger. It's not wronger over here, is it?
More
No,
wronger.
More wrongly. So, to pronounce, pronunciation.
There you go.
Every day's a school day, Kenny.
Yeah, it's all good. Always learning, Joe.
Let's kick things off. By the way, Sinead Divers is a story you're going to like. She was in the London Marathon. She finished 7th. She's from Belmullet, County Mayo. In 2002, she moved over to Australia with her now husband, built a life there, IT consultant. At 32, she had her first child. At the age of 32, on maternity leave, she started running. There was a mate at a recreational running group.
On
"Do you want-"
maternity leave.
On her maternity leave, said, "Yeah,
Right.
come on, let's get back into it. When we're short a number in our running group, do you want to run?"
Wow.
And she was like, "Okay, I'll give it a go." Within 2 years, she won the Australian half marathon. Then 4 years later, she finished 2nd in the Melbourne Marathon. And now, at the age of 42, she finished 7th in the London Marathon. And she's going to run at the Olympics in Tokyo next year under the Australian flag.
That's phenomenal, isn't it?
It is unbelievable.
32 years of age.
She
Must have been
started
very active. Obviously a talented
Kenny,
runner, school.
Here's the
I mean,
question.
you've made that out. You spun that as if.
no, my friend.
So you got
listen.
out bed at 32,
Listen,
friend.
bun in
Listen to
the
this.
oven and thought, I'm going to have a jog today. I have not.
No.
Clearly she was very active, very sport.
No, listen to me.
A bun in the oven.
No, he said.
He did.
Oh, did he?
Yeah.
No. So we've recorded this interview with her already. We spoke to her earlier on, right?
Oh, great,
so I said, I was saying to her, like, 32, you start running. I was sort of saying, like, I understand if you're, a gifted lacrosse player or an ice hockey player, that you mightn't have found your calling. It might have bypassed you. But like running, surely somewhere along the way, someone said, geez, you're good at running.
Yeah.
And she was saying in Belmullet when she was growing up, there was no sport for girls at her primary school. And then when she went to secondary school, the nuns didn't really think girls in sport were all that good an idea either. So she said she might have had one sports day in her entire school life. And so she left school at 17, having had no real sport, a bit of basketball.
Right, yeah.
But she, weirdly, she loved sport and she did PE in Limerick, studied it.
Right.
But so...
Yeah, but just never had the opportunity. The avenues never opened up.
One sports day.
Yeah.
The nuns were like, no, sport, not for you.
Yeah.
So it's like the most unbelievable story. She's going to be running at the Olympics for Australia. She tried, when she qualified for the World Championships in Beijing in 2015, she did get onto the Irish Federation and said, I'm Irish, I've qualified.
Say why?
They had changed the standard and the standard was lower in Australia. They didn't seem to want to send her. In fact, at that stage, she's like, she's 38.
Yeah.
And there's other people who might need the funding. She's come from nowhere and run this great time.
I'm delighted for her. She's got the opportunity in the Olympics.
It's unbelievable.
To run it in the Olympics, amazing story.
We recorded a really good chat with her earlier on, so that's on between 8 and 9, but it's
into that.
incredible. Yeah.
How's her pronunciations? Ollie?
Hey.
Pronunciation.
Did I say it wrong?
Again.
I actually thought I was saying it right there. I said it wrong.
Oh, I thought you were joking.
Actually, no. I focused on actually trying to say it right. I said it wrong.
Say, I'm going to get you to say some words. Say that word. Say that word.
Oh, I'm sweating now.
Come on.
I was with the young fella the other night.
This one.
Ajax.
It's going to be a long night.
Okay, we'll get the news round moving. Rich, we're starting with...
Yeah, Tottenham, they play a semi-final in Europe's Premier Club competition for the first time since 1962. Ajax visit the new White Hart Lane for the first leg of this semi-final. The teams are in with Spurs having captain Hugo Lloris in goal. A back five of Kieran Trippier, Davinson Sanchez, Toby Alderweireld, Jan Vertonghen and Danny Rose. In midfield, it's Victor Wanyama and Christian Eriksen. In front of them, Dele Alli and Lucas Moura, with Fernando Llorente leading the line in the absence of the injured Harry Kane and the suspended Heung-min Son. For Ajax, Andre Onana starts in goal. They've then got a back four of Joel Veltman, Matthijs de Ligt, Nicolas Tagliafico and Dali Blind. Across the midfield, it's Donny van de Beek, Lasse Schöne and Frenkie de Jong, with David Neres, Dusan Tadic and Hakim Ziyech making up their front three. And kick-off at White Hart Lane is at 8 o'clock.
We'll preview that game later on with Kenny ahead of kick-off. Now, John O'Shea.
The former Republic of Ireland captain today announced his retirement show. Reading's final championship game of the season at home to Birmingham on Sunday will mark the end of the Waterford man's 20-year professional career. O'Shea, of course, a Champions League winner in 2008 with Manchester United, a side with whom he also won 5 Premier League titles and an FA Cup. He won 118 Ireland caps, the third biggest total for an Ireland international, and was a member of the squads at the 2012 and 2016 European Championships. And earlier in the season, our Stephen Doyle asked O'Shea what may lie beyond his playing days.
It's one of them things. I think initially, look, you want to stay in football. I think especially with the players, the management, the teams that I've been at. If I haven't learned a few things over the years, especially internationally as well, that I'd be disappointed if I couldn't have an impact at a team, whether it be to coach, manage, whatever the case may be, with younger kids or with senior players, that I'd hope I'd have something to offer, and that's definitely a route I want to explore at some stage. Yeah, good on him. What a career. Did you play much with O'Shea?
Yeah, I played a couple of years with John in the international scene. I'm trying to think how long exactly when would he have made his debut?
2003.
I'd say 02,
03.
It would have been after 02 because he wasn't
in the squad.
Yeah, it would have been
I think he might have made his debut just before the World Cup, but I don't think he went there.
Came a bit too soon for him. Yeah, so that would have been, I don't know what, I can't remember, 04 or something. I would have gone 05. So a couple of 2 or 3 years. Oh, he's a lovely player, John. Great lad though as well. Great character. Very unassuming. Very modest and really like the way he carried himself. You know what I mean? He was a fine player and he developed into a fantastic player. Played obviously one of the biggest clubs, huge success. But on an even keel in terms of temperament, kind of mentality, and even kind of character.
Comes across.
Yeah, background. I mean, I wouldn't have known a huge amount of John's background, family, parents, but you felt as if very solid, bringing good people around him, you know what I mean? That type of person. So, yeah, what a great career. Great career.
High point is still when he nutmegged Figo, I presume. We all agree with that, do we?
I got reminded of this today because I think Manchester United tweeted it out, that goal against Arsenal, where he kind of clipped it into, it was beautiful.
Yeah, in the blue jerseys, wasn't it?
I think they might have been black that night.
Oh, yeah, you're right, actually.
Oh, I like that, that black hit, yeah.
It was he looks a bit surprised when he scores.
He kind of like, initially he's like, oh, Christ, what have I done? And then it's just like, kind of going, oh yeah, of course. Yeah.
He takes off.
Wasn't many positions he didn't play. There was a spell he was centre midfield. He got a run as centre midfield. Manchester United was playing really well, scoring goals.
Goalkeeper, of course.
Oh, God, back forward.
That's the GA background, John.
Yeah, so versatile. Like.
Yeah, because he started on the left for United, left full back.
Left back, yeah.
Up against Figo. That way was very early on when he dropped the old nutmeg on Figo.
He's great feet, John. Technically very. John's a big lad. John's 6'3", 6'4", like very broad, so gangly, you could say, but feet beautiful. Soft feet, Joe, as they say. Oh. Soft feet.
What kind of feet did you have?
No, honestly.
The Iron Giant.
Oh, God.
Oh, dear.
Horrible.
They weren't horrible. They were lovely feet, Kenny.
Chalk and cheese.
Lovely feet, Kenny. Undissolved claimed an incredible 10th Grade 1 victory today. The 11-year-old won the feature race on the opening day of the Punchestown Festival, the Boyle Sports Champion Chase. Odds-on favourite Min was 4 lengths back in second, but it made it a 1-2 for trainer Willie Mullins. The Mullins-Ruby Walsh tandem claimed the day's first Grade 1 there with Classical Dream romping home in the Herald Champion Novice Hurdle at a price of 11-2. Liverpool manager Jurgen Klopp says he'll make a decision on Roberto Firmino's involvement against Barcelona after lunchtime tomorrow. The Brazilian forward trained today, having missed Friday's win over Huddersfield with a muscular injury. Klopp's actually in front of the cameras at the moment. Klopp's also included 19-year-old striker Ryan Brewster in his squad for that game at the Camp Nou. Rory O'Carroll has rejoined the Dublin football panel. The All-Star fullback took part in a gym session with Jim Gavin's squad last night, and he's expected to take a full part in training come next week. O'Carroll hasn't played for Dublin since the 2015 All-Ireland final. He emigrated to New Zealand before returning home earlier this year and is featured for his club Kilmacud Crokes in the Dublin Championship. Former Dubs defender Paddy Christie was a guest on this morning's OTBAM and says that O'Carroll's return can only be viewed as a boost for the 5-in-a-row hopefuls.
It's a huge addition for Jim. I think they were struggling a little bit in the last year as regards just the senior panel. There's not too much new blood coming in, there's no major injections, and I suppose this is like new blood as such, even though he's from years ago. I think it's an injection of freshness, you know.
Yeah, because I was wondering about how does the panel take somebody like Rory O'Carroll coming back in, but like, you know, you assume that maybe some people are a little bit, their noses are put out of joint because they might end up losing some playing time later in the summer, but the vast majority of people will appreciate that this makes the group stronger in training sessions and it's going to make the team better in big matches.
Exactly. Well, that really comes down to Jim and the management, particularly the manager, the sort of ethos, the values that he has in the panel, and how people see themselves and their role in the team. And if people see themselves as part of a team and working towards the goal of winning an All-Ireland, well then they'll grudgingly accept it. Whereas, you know, if you don't have a good ethos in the team, if there's not a good set of core values there, you'll get people sort of looking over their shoulder saying, well, this fella's coming in out of nowhere, where did he come from? I get the feeling over the years that I don't think Dublin would have won what they've won without having that good atmosphere in the squad and that good set of core values. I think Jim has instilled that.
Paddy Christie there speaking on OTBAM, our sports breakfast show that's on every weekday morning at 7:45am. You'll find it on offtheball.com, YouTube, Twitter and Facebook, so you can start your day with Off the Ball. See our social channels for full broadcast details and more.
Kenny, David and Galway was getting into the spirit of things. Kenny, I've got a cat up a tree in Malahide. Also, what's a false number 9? And Kenny, what's a tracker mortgage?
What's a low block, Kenny?
Talk to Joe on 1850 715 815.
You missed it. You took out your headphones there. Give us a blast there, Pete.
Talk to Joe on 1850 715 815.
And then on you'd come. Hi,
that's it.
It's Kenny in for Joe today. That's what you do.
How long is the show? Is it
about 6 hours.
Oh, really? It seems like
it.
Yeah, no. What would it be? Actually, we're not advertising it. Don't mind what time it's on. Don't worry about that, Kenny.
The only thing I remember vaguely growing up was like late night shows. And do you remember the old late night ones on the radio in bed with the radio on?
You're talking Adrian Kennedy.
No, do you know people
Barry.
phone in? That was
Sorry, phone show.
Chris Berry phone show.
probably a little bit more relationships, that type of thing. You know, the midnight hour thing. Those type of
imagine
things.
Kenny doing the Love Zone. That'd be amazing.
So we like.
I'm trying to think
do the
in
Love Zone
terms
with
of
Kenny Cunningham.
being back in Dublin and listening to it. That was probably the only. So I've been away so long.
No, yeah. What year did you go over?
89.
You didn't go over in 89. Did you?
Are you questioning when the man started his career in
I'm trying
Millwall?
to do my maths here.
would have been
71, born in 71, finished
Went
my
over in
leaving.
89.
89, yeah.
Kenny would have been listening to like Jason Main
It's a long time.
doing the old late night kind of phone in.
So you've definitely lived.
So the radio. So the radio was.
You're well over the majority of your life
Yeah.
in the UK now, though, aren't you? Well over the majority of your life.
Yeah, that's right. I remember speaking to somebody about that last year. Most of my life's been spent in the UK. It's amazing, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a bit surreal for someone who. You still feel very attached to home, but it is a mad thing to think you're basically. You could say you're more English than you're Irish.
It's more than that. Oh.
It's because he's a landlord.
Oh, I can't know what life. No. So it's more than attachment, Joe. It's more than attachment.
No, I know.
As you know.
So what radio? This was like people would ring in with their love life problems. Was that kind of the gist of it?
That kind of thing, yeah.
That kind of
Lay
thing.
on, wasn't it? Lay on.
Yeah.
You know, but I'll be listening to the radio a little bit at night because the radio was big. Do you know what I mean?
In the olden days.
The one telly stopped
back in the day.
at a certain hour. People forget that.
Saturday afternoon. I remember Saturday afternoon.
Airs and races with Val Joyce.
My dad take the radio into the bath, have a bath Saturday afternoon, put the radio on, listen to all the reports, fill in the scores on the in the inside page of the paper. All of the
into the bath.
Fill in with a pencil all the scores, come out, present it to me. I used to reenact. This is getting a bit late. This is taking it to a different level. I take the paper off me dad. This would be 5:30. Of course, all the fixtures would be over at 5 o'clock, 3 o'clock.
Spend
Every
the entire
fixture.
2.5 hours in the bath.
So I'd go into the kitchen, lock the kitchen door. So the kitchen table, 2 of the chairs, put them across from each other like 2 posts, and get the broom, the brush, and put it across the chairs like for the crossbar. So you had your goal there.
Yeah.
The broom being the crossbar and the 2 chairs being the posts down at one end of the kitchen. Wouldn't have been particularly.
How big is your house?
No open plan kitchens. This is, it's corporation house down Coolock.
This was a tight pitch.
Yeah, tennis ball, lock the kitchen door, off we go for about 40 minutes. Reenact all the games, smashing the tennis ball, sliding tackles, the whole shebang.
So was this like your dad's oasis of calm away from the bloody kids? I'm getting into the bath and I'm listening to the radio.
But I remember
how noisy
that.
he was as like a 7 and 8 year old.
Yeah. Kenny,
Bashing around the house.
can you just stop talking, Kenny, for 5 minutes?
Yeah, but radio, the scores coming, there's been another goal. You know
Drama.
what I mean? Yeah, exactly.
Now it's ruined by your phone.
And then the scores coming in at 5-2. Who's the
Video
famous?
Des Lynam.
No, the famous
Dickie Davis?
the lad who kind of recited all the results.
Classifieds almost.
Famous, yeah, the classified.
I don't know actually.
But you done it for about 20, 30 years, that boys.
On RTE it would have been, I presume. Radio 1.
It's on Grandstand.
On Grandstand. Oh, was your dad getting 5 Live in the bath?
No, 5 Live didn't exist back then.
No.
Okay. No, I don't know. Someone will text in. God, yeah, that's amazing. There's something very romantic about that way of enjoying your football. In the bath, results coming in.
With the paper and a pencil. Filling in the pills results.
There we are, Kenny. How did we get there? I'm glad we did, though. So, last couple of stories then, Rich.
Yeah, Clare's hurlers will be without 3 key players for the All-Ireland Championship. Co-manager Jerry O'Connor's confirmed that Jamie Shanahan, Ian Galvin and Conor McGrath will play no part at all this summer. Shanahan recently underwent a procedure on his back. McGrath has a shoulder injury and an arm injury has sidelined Galvin. 2013 All-Ireland final hero Shane O'Donnell, though, has rejoined the panel while John Conlon looks set to return from injury in time for the beginning of the Munster Championship.
Peter Duggan is on the way between 8 and 9. We had a good old chat with him earlier on. He was in studio. Great fella, great fun. So Peter Duggan, Clare fans, coming up between 8 and 9.
And John Caulfield insists he intends to stay on as manager of Cork City. Last night's 1-1 draw with bottom side Finn Harps at Turner's Cross means the Leesiders have now gone 7 games without a win and sit third from bottom in the table. Cork head to Bohemians on Friday night. Bows yet to concede a goal from open play this season, but Caulfield says he'll be in charge at Dalymount and indeed beyond.
No, I think it's an unfair question, to be honest with you, because, at the end of the day, the bottom line is We have worked incredibly hard. The management team have had 5 unbelievable years. So all of a sudden, are they not good enough? You know, the goalposts changed. We changed the scenario within the club at the start of the year, the way we were going down. We didn't want to invest as much. So things have changed, and we have to work with that. Let's say that the management team that have led and brought players through and have, on a shoestring, basically competed and won trophies at the top for 5 years and made money for the club, that all of a sudden they become bad. I don't think so. I think we're fantastic people, you know, highly qualified people, and all working 24/7 like they all do. It's up to us as a management team to rally the lads around and get them up, and if their confidence is down, get their confidence up, and that's what we're trying to do.
I was watching on the TV the other evening on Friday when Rovers were up in Derry. You were doing commentary of the game.
Yeah.
How do you see the league race going?
Well, it's no surprise that obviously the lead Rovers has shrinked. I think Dundalk, you always felt at some point they would whittle that away. I still think Rovers are stronger from what I've seen them this season. I think they'll hang around. I think it's going to be between themselves and Dundalk, clearly. But they're certainly good enough. Rovers, I was impressed with them defensively against Derry. The central defensive pair was very, very strong.
They look comfortable against Derry.
Yeah, but you can see the talent they have, and like the footballers in midfield. I looked at them last year and just thought they lacked a bit of pace, bit of dynamism in centre midfield. But Aaron McInnes coming in, Dylan Watts came in towards the tail end of the previous season.
Jack Bourne's made a difference.
Jack Bourne as well, really a clever operator. Aaron Green's really surprised me. I remember watching him play a couple of years, play kind of left wing, more of a kind of dinky kind of.
Played for us as well. He's been very lightweight.
Yeah, a little bit lightweight. You know what I mean? Jinky, decent, good, technically good, but he played as a number 9 against Derry, and he looked like an orthodox number 9, strong, planting his feet, focal point of the attack, making balls stick, bringing people into play. Played great. So you look at Rovers offensively and defensively, I think, yeah, without a doubt, they'll not saying they'll win it. Dundalk will push them, but for me, it's all about them too. But I'd have to give Bohemians a mention as well, because
good man.
Okay, Ward's down there, like, and Trevor Crowley's unbelievable. It's deserve just as many plaudits for what's happening over in Rovers, how well they've started the season. And sorry, John alludes to it there, John Caulfield. It's all about your resources, getting the best out of the resources available to you. And if you're throwing plaudits at people on account of that, well then, what Bows have achieved so far this season is as good as anything that we've seen from the two teams, certainly above them.
Rich, just the Philip Doyle news before we go.
Yeah, he says he's very excited at taking the role of Scotland women's head coach. The man who led Ireland to the Grand Slam in 2013 replaces Shade Munro. Doyle's Scotland will play Ireland in next year's Rugby Europe tournament, where a qualifying place will be on the line for the next World Cup. An interesting appointment today.
Yeah, sure is. That could go back to haunt Ireland, couldn't it? So that's your news round for this Tuesday evening. Before we take a quick break and chat Champions League, we have an amazing prize to give away if you're a rugby fan. It's a trip to Ireland against Scotland in Yokohama this September at Rugby World Cup 2019. Basically, we're going to have 100 finalists join us on May the 9th, Thursday, May the 9th, for a special show that we're doing. The only way to come along on the night is to win one of our special green tickets. We now have only 33 of those 100 left, and we're giving away another 3 this evening. Here's how you win. We have 3 questions for you. You can only enter once you have answered all 3 questions. And all questions are related to Ireland's opening opponents in the World Cup, Scotland. So question 1 of 3 this evening. What famous Scottish monster lives in Loch Ness? Really?
Scott Brown.
We're doing this, are we? Okay. What famous Scottish monster lives in Loch Ness? Write that down. There are 2 more questions to go alongside that. Next question just before 8 o'clock. Remember, don't text in until you have all 3 answers. Entrants must be over 18 years of age. Remember to drink responsibly. Visit drinkaware.ie. All with thanks to Heineken, worldwide partner to Rugby World Cup 2019 in Japan.
Will Supergram be one of the answers tonight?
No, we're told.
Damn it!
Off the ball on News Talk.